out.
On RPM tonight, we catch up with a new generation of Irish racing drivers in the Formula Opel Championship, and we join the Uno racers as they hail their little Italian jobs round Mondello. There's a distinctly Italian feel about Mondello, with the arrival of the new Dunlop Fiat Uno saloon car class. These heavily subsidised little racers have created Irish motorsporting history by being the first category to completely fill the starting grid on their first outing. So what are the ingredients that have brought about this extraordinary success story?
Well, essentially they're standard cars. The main mechanical components in particular are standard: gearboxes, engines. To increase performance, they're lightened, and we allow the ride height in terms of suspension to be lowered. But the main modifications allowed are reconditioning of the engine, but only to normal manufacturer's tolerances.
First of all, the lighting. What do you lighten?
Well, we take out the seats, the soundproofing, carpets, headcloth, and we then add perspex windows instead of glass windows, and that lightens the car considerably. The engine itself is a standard Fiat 1300 engine. Even in standard trim, they're good for 8,000 to 9,000 revs safely. And the only reconditioning allowed is normal reconditioning within the manufacturer's tolerances. Suspension, people are allowed lower the ride height. There's a minimum ride height set, but it means that the cars will handle better. In terms of tyres, we're on a standard road-going Dunlop tyre. One Uno has been built for £2,000, and that will be the cheapest one. Generally though, it would be between 3.5 if you're building it yourself and using all your own time and labour, and about 7 if somebody else is building it for you. Each competitor at the first meeting who met the criteria got £200 per car, and then at each subsequent meeting they get £100 per car. So it's a significant contribution to anybody's running costs.
So that's the recipe of success, which has brought 24 of these little Italian screamers to Mondello. Now for the second round of the championship. There are plenty of new faces and indeed some familiar old ones. Back on the grid after a long absence, Steve Griffin.
Yeah, besides Steve, who's on pole, is number 8, David Hammond in the Listerine car. On the outside of the front row, number 24 is Eugene Heary, ex-VW driver in the appropriate Squeeze sponsored car. Number 2 there is Gary Pillow. Beside him, Austin Bishop in the Braemore Fiat, a guy well known for being super quick in karts. Here's a shot looking backwards from Michael Leonard's car, who qualified 9th. The on-car camera pointing backwards should give us plenty of fun. All the way down at the back of the grid now is Michael Cullen, carrying the second camera. Michael, in fact, should have been in pole position, but because his car was 1 kilo under the weight, he was relegated to the back of the grid. And here he is. He has got a lot of work to do when this race starts.
So Michael Cullen, a very frustrated Michael Cullen, taking up his position at the back of the grid with 23 cars to pass, and that's a very tall order. On the front of the grid, Steve Griffin, who makes a beautiful start. Hammond is second, Heary third, and number 2 Pillow just edging ahead.
Michael's made a great start. He's boxed in here. What he needs is a gap to open up in front of him, give him room. He's got it now. He goes left. He's now past 3 cars, past another one. That's down into Lodge. He's now past 4 guys.
And the Vietnam Wars have moved up a gear, undoubtedly, with these new Unos. We're looking back from Michael Leonard's car to Hugh Greenan there in the Dublin Oil car just behind them as we come screaming down now towards this double apex. And Griffin leads. Here he's second. Then Hammond third place. And then it's all happening behind that. There's one of our camera cars.
Yes, and Mick Lennon's going in there, locking up a rear wheel. As they come out of there, he's gained a little bit on the exit, which will satisfy him a bit, but as they come down to the next left-hander now, we switch to Michael Cullen, who really needs to get up the inside if he possibly can. He's going to get a wheel on the grass now. Can't quite make it round through here, but he's still pushing and pushing. He's got up beside the other car now, but as they go into the right-hander, he's really on the wrong line.
Liam Rabbit it was that he was trying to pass that time. Up they come, and everybody's eyes are on this battle of Cullen coming through. We're still with Leonard, and there is Cullen in the middle of your screen now, just been blocked up now a little bit by Greenan. Now we've got a very interesting situation as he attacks down the main straight.
Yes, he's now presented with a situation that he really wants another gap to get down through into Lodge, but it's very difficult to find one. He's having a go down the inside, over the grass, across the curb, a lot of understeer. Doesn't lose out too much to Michael Leonard in the car in front. Little thank you to the guy behind for not actually taking him off at that point. So now he's got to catch Michael and see if he can get through him before they get to Bridgestone.
Griffin still leads, still Healy, then Hammond in third place, then Pillow in fourth. But all eyes are on these two inboard cameras, looking eyeball to eyeball now as Cullen closes right in there at Bridgestone. A very, very fast approach. Right out over the curves, there he is, trying very hard, this Dubliner.
Yes, he's got a very quick entry line into Bridgestone as they come up the end, having another go on the inside. I don't think Mick's going to give him enough room to do that. No, gets the door closed. Michael will have to wait a little bit longer, but he's not very keen on waiting. He's a lot of cars to pass. Tucked right up behind the Nace Court Hotel car now as they come up the hill.
And he tries to show him a dummy on the outside there. He's right on the outside of our picture. Here he comes, and he's pushed Leonard very deep into the corner. He's alongside.
Yeah, perfect overtaking manoeuvre there. He led Mick into braking slightly too late, gave himself the inside line as they come out and down the straight. He now has another chance of a go at the next car as they come into Lodge.
No change up front, although it's very close indeed, but we're looking at the battle for about 10th or 11th place. And there, Leonard has another go.
Yeah, Michael indicating there he's already in second gear, I think. And as they go out through Castrol now, he's closing on the car in front, despite Michael Leonard's attentions from behind.
And Steve Griffin, of course, unaware of this rapid progress of the DC exhaust car coming up through the field. There he is, just flashing through our picture at the moment. And there's the car with the camera pointing out the rear. Up they go. It's a difficult corner. It's an uphill bend here. Very, very late apex. And Michael Leonard there. Next, of course, Cosworth driver. We skip ahead a little bit as Griffin comes up the hill now towards Boreham. Here he's still in second place. There's David Hammond in the Listerine car in third place. And Gary Pillow in fourth place, taking a very inside line. But red flags. We have a problem. And there is the problem back at Castrol, a number of cars off, and one of them stranded on the racing line, which will mean that the race has to be restarted.
Yes, a bit of a nasty for a driver to have to go undergo all this again, having made a good start the first time. But Steve, no mistakes this time, straight off the line. Michael Cullen, of course, this time is on the second row. He's now really heavily boxed in, with much quicker cars this time as they go down into Lodge. He's in the centre of the field now. He's got to really try and fight his way out and get a little bit of a gap, because his quickest point is down into Bridgestone. His entry speed there is very definitely quick.
And Gary Pillow really benefited from that. He's up into second place. Here we have another, that's Fisk, just giving Michael Leonard a nudge in that distinctive magenta car you can see on the right of your screen, just coming into picture now.
And Michael Cullen again trying very hard down the inside. Oh, lots of huge amounts of understeers to come up the hill, but he's possibly managed to block the guys behind from making any capital on that bit of a mistake.
And now he's up into fourth place, so it's Griffin leads. Second place at the moment, Gary Pillow, then David Hammond, and there's Cullen in fourth place. It's been a magnificent drive of the reigning Irish saloon car champion, from last on the grid to first on the road. But although he's now first on the road, the gap between him and Griffin is not enough to make an outright win, as Cullen would have to be 6 seconds ahead of the veteran racer to win on aggregate between the two racers. So while Cullen comes down the hill to take the checkered flag, it's going to be Stephen Griffin who makes a triumphant return to Mondello after a sabbatical of almost 10 years. So Griffin takes the victory. Hammond is second, and Michael Cullen, after that brilliant drive, is third, with Eugene Heary and Gary Pillow taking the top 5 places.
Well, Steve, congratulations. What a return.
Yeah, very happy from haven't lost it anyways.
You certainly haven't lost it, but you were under great pressure there this afternoon.
Yes, and it was very warm, and my car is black and it seems to track the heat, so it was quite warm in the car.
Had you any idea that Michael was closing in so rapidly on you?
I had, yes, because when the race was stopped, the boys told me that he was gaining fast, but I was watching him all right, but there was nothing I could do.
I was hoping for a good run today. We had a good practice, but unfortunately I fell foul of the regulations. I was a kilo too light, and thus had to start at the back of the grid. But luckily the cards fell in my favour, and I was able to get up to, well, as I thought was first, but it's actually third on aggregate. But I can't be unhappy with third, you know, from 24.
So Fiat Uno racing is an instant success and an encouragement to all ages to take up motor racing. After all, there is a gap of at least 20 years between the first and second person in the championship.